The info, Tim, is there is Mark Green, and a bit of a problem. We don't know because they've lost radio contact with Mark. What happened? He started to pull out of pit lane.
Well, sometimes these guys really don't hook all the radio stuff up for qualifying. They're just going to run a couple of laps, and maybe he just didn't hook his radio up, but don't know what happened. It stalled coming off of the pit road.
This is not a very good birthday present. He turned 50 last Wednesday. Let's check in with Shannon while we've got a chance. We found out what happened to Mark Green, and the birthday present's gone from bad to worse. No clutch. And so there is the 0, and that's one of the go-or-go homers. Unfortunately, they'll be packing up and heading home.
Yeah, I mean, that's unreal. Do all that practicing yesterday and lose a clutch going out to qualify. It's just, I really don't understand how something like that could happen that quick.
Okay, now this car right here, you see no sponsor on the quarter panels. Don't let that fool you. This car's going to run fast right here. He has been qualifying really good with this car.
This is probably one of the fellows, we talk about go-or-go homers, and what he wants to do with this car. He can actually put a full-blown qualifying setup in this thing because he just wants to get in the race. Once he's in the race, he's made a little money. He knows he's probably not going to go for a win with it, but they can slide lead forward. They can put bigger springs in it. They can really get it so the car will qualify good. Just won't race too good that way.
And the these guys are referring to is 41-year-old Terry Cook. As Terry, 6th in the NASCAR Camping World points right now. Looking to put this car in the show for today's race.
Yeah, Terry knows how to get it done now. He's fast in those Truck Series trucks, and so he can qualify good. But he's going to make a little money here with this team if he can get it in the field.
Okay, now we're tracking him against Carl Edwards. He's 12th so far here down the backstretch. Qualified in the top 10 last week at Texas. 7th, I believe it was.
Coming through 4, heading for the stripe for lap number 1. And for Terry, it was 29.66 seconds. That's good enough for 15th. Puts him well ahead of Casey Atwood.
You can see this car is tracking 7th right now. I mean, just like you predicted, Andy. I mean, he's got a qualifying setup in this car, and it's showing right now.
Flirting with the top 10.
Well, he comes across the stripe. Terry Cook moves to the 11th position. 29.58 seconds. Good for the 11th spot right now. Let's check in with Jamie Little down in pit lane.
Well, we're watching NASCAR.
Back here at the Nashville Super Speedway as we are into the go-or-go-home section of qualifying, and you're looking at the 90 of Johnny Chapman. He was 25th on the practice charts yesterday, guys. And as you take a look at the lap tracker, we can tell you the 5-minute clock did expire on Mark Green. We sort of figured it would with a clutch problem, that they would not be able to get that car out. So they are definitely officially not going to race later this afternoon.
See our tracker here. This is tracking to the 21st spot, which is Casey Atwood, and that's the spot next to lock in. If you can beat that time, you lock yourself in. If not, then Casey Atwood will get locked in after this lap.
Right. So far, we can tell you that Terry Cook is locked in for the race.
Okay, Johnny's car was really dancing around off of turn 4. These guys are driving these things for everything they're worth because they know they got to make it in on time, and if they don't, it's probably their own fault.
Johnny trying to make it for his 3rd Nashville start, and he runs 29.92 on the 2nd lap. That moves him to 23rd. Not good enough to bump out Atwood, but Atwood now is locked in. So 2.
Atwood's locked in, and that makes Johnny Chapman the guy that we're going to be tracking for the next one. He is the next guy to lock in if nobody can beat him.
Well, and while he brings it on into pit lane, let's check in with Jamie. 51-year-old from Birmingham, Alabama. And again, now he'll be compared to Jeremy Clements' time because Clements will be the next to lock in. Unless Mr. Harmon can go quicker.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Oh, that isn't good.
Yeah, I saw that. Got down the apron, just on the edge of the apron, and saw a little tire smoke where it bottomed out a little bit on the fender.
Well, Mike has some experience here at Nashville. He's raced here 8 times prior. His best Nashville start, though, 28th back in June of '03. And that bobble, you can see how it cost him on the lap tracker. He's going to basically throw away this lap.
The problem with these guys that have to make it on time is they don't they have that problem. They can't just say, okay, I'm going to abort and come in. They have to try to get a faster lap. And you see Mike Harmon trying hard, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to race his way in.
It's called not quitting, man. You just can't quit. I mean, if you mess up that first lap, you got to put it in your head where I messed up. And what happens, a lot of these drivers try to make it up on the second lap, and they overdrive the car like we talked earlier, and it gets them in more trouble.
Well, and the truth is, though, they were 47th on the practice charts. The fastest they ran yesterday was 31.2, and you can see they're 39th, and they ran a 31 flat, and that's not enough to come close to locking Mike Harmon and the team in. Jeremy Clements is now locked in, which means Scott Wimmer is next up, as we're going to have a quick break. And while we were on break, you see Andy Ponstein, he ran both his laps, 30.54 seconds, the fastest for him. Not good enough to bump his way into a guaranteed spot. It did lock in Scott Wimmer, however. So next up will be Jeff Green, trying to stay in. He's the man that everybody will be chasing from here on out. And we end up now with the 52 of Brad Teague.
Brad Teague's car owner, Jimmy Means, is being inducted into the Huntsville-Madison County Athletic Hall of Fame in Huntsville, Alabama. That's his hometown. That's a pretty good accomplishment for Jimmy Means. He's been at this sport, working in this sport, driving cars, crew chief car owner. Been around a long time and done a great job.
And NFL great John Stallworth is also in that group being inducted. So it's a select group. Take a look at that hood. You can see the dash for cash. We'll get a chance to explain what that's all about for you on the hood of Brad Teague's car. Brad's first lap, 30.4, not good enough to lock him in. Of the go or go homers, lap 2 not doing very well either.
Not looking good for Brad, but it looks good for Jeff Green, who will be the next car.
As he comes across the stripe, does he improve? Nah, not really. 30.704. So he stays outside, and so that locks in Jeff Green and leaves Mr. Gordon next up. And we mentioned the dash for cash. Well, it's for the Nationwide standalone vets, 4 of them, in fact. Nationwide Insurance put up an additional $150,000 for the series regulars and double-duty drivers who run full-time in both series. Now, you get $25,000 extra if you win here at Nashville, Kentucky, Iowa, or Memphis. If a non-regular wins, the money rolls over, and the points leader of those 4 races gets a $50,000 bonus at year-end from Nationwide Insurance. Nice program.
Yeah, it's a good program. So Carl Edwards, Kyle Busch, they're running full-time. But the rest of the Cup drivers over here, like Michael Waltrip, David Reagan, guys like that, they're not eligible because they're not running full-time in the series. So if you do win this race, 25 grand, and like you said, Marty, at the end of the year, whoever's got the most points gets an additional 50 grand. So those guys are pretty excited about that.
And there's the 4 races right on the hood as well.
Makes these standalone events very important for these guys. Put a lot of emphasis and effort into these races.
Let's go back out trackside because Curtis Davis is on his qualifying effort, and he is in the green ahead of Benny Gordon. And Davis, yes, he has locked himself in with his first lap at 30.29 seconds.
This would be a good time for the crew chief to say, hey, we don't need to run a second lap. We're locked into the race. Don't do anything to put your car at risk here.
Well, looks like he's not listening to you there, crew chief.
He said, yeah, but I can go faster.
And he is going faster. Comes across the stripe, so a very good run for Curtis. In fact, wow, he moves up to the 20th starting spot, 29.73 seconds. So he's saying, take that, crew chief. Well, we've talked to John West before the qualifying run. A big smile on John West Townley's face, and you can understand why. On the track right now, a couple of guys have been flip-flopping cars. It's Brian Keselowski. Originally, Dennis Setzer was supposed to be in the 96 and Brian in the 26, but then all of a sudden yesterday they decided to change, and they've stayed with it.
Their team cars decided to switch cars and see maybe it was a better combination with drivers in these swapped cars, and it worked. First lap for Brian Keselowski is 37th, but that locks him into the field.
Yeah, he's actually better than Benny Gordon's time by a full half a second, and that does lock him in. And he's going even quicker again. There's Bob Keselowski in the glasses.
You know, Andy, if these guys are just trying to get in the race, and if they do get locked in that first lap, I don't understand at all why they do run that second lap.
Well, I mean, if they can move themselves up in the field and plan on racing, I mean, this is it's all about getting a good finish.
Well, he'll move up to 33rd with that second lap of 30.04 seconds. So right now, with a total of 43 cars that have taken times, 2 that did not, obviously, David Green and Mark Green. Still have a few cars to go.
And now his teammate, the 26 car.
That'll be Dennis Setzer. Jamie?
Well, I asked him because you look at the door right here, Dennis Setzer, but it's Brian Keselowski, so why the swap?
Well, we're really trying to get the 26 car locked into the points, so we struggled the last couple weeks in qualifying, and in practice, we're right there on the edge, and well, we just don't need that right now. So, but Dennis got going a little better in my car, and I did all right in this one, so we just decided to go ahead and put Dennis in. He's going to go race the car and try to get the best we can, get the thing up there in points again like we were earlier in the year. And, you know, hey, I got this one in. This is our money-making car right now. It's what we got to do to race. But, you know, with no sponsors, it's a little tough, but we're trying to make everything happen.
The 96, the moneymaker. Marty?
And let me correct myself. The 07 car will be in because the very point that Rusty was, there's the other name, the point that Rusty was making earlier, we're on the current points, and the 07 is in that top 30, so David Green will be racing. So I wonder if they'll change the names before 3 o'clock. I doubt it. On those 2 cars. What do you think?
Who
Probably
cares?
not. They don't. Obviously.
That car was way up the racetrack there. He was holding on for dear life on that lap.
26-year-old Ryan Hackett is the man we're talking about right now, as we are down to the last 2 cars in qualifying that have a chance to make it in on time. And the time you got to beat is Benny Gordon's 30.416.
And he does not do it.
Nope.
Oh, and Benny Gordon locks himself in with the last car that goes out. I mean, that's pressure, Andy. When you're sitting down and you're waiting, that is pressure. And you get it by the last car.
So Ryan does not qualify, and that will bring us down to Shelby Howard, the 23-year-old from Greenwood, Indiana.
Ooh, I better back up. That wasn't the last car, was it?
One more.